All right. Hey, everyone. How are you today? I am excited to bring my last panel of the day, anyway, for the CX Virtual Summit, hosted here by Instant Teams. I'm Liza Rodewald, CEO and co founder, if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet. And I have two special CEOs on the call with me today to discuss some really cool CEO conversations of what's going on in the CX space and to continue our conversation on building loyalty and trust and communication with the brands that we serve and the customers that we serve. So without further ado, I want to introduce our panelists today. First of all, we have Jason Putnam, CEO of Vetty. Jason, you want to give a quick intro to the audience?
Yeah, so excited. Thanks for having me and having Vetty on this. My name is Jason Putnam. I'm the CEO of Vetty. We're very, very blessed to have Instant Teams as one of our clients. What we do is we're a hiring acceleration platform. So we just want to make sure really critical people get hired really fast and are productive once they start.
Awesome. And Kristin?
Hi, it's great to see you, Liza. So my name's Kristin. I'm the owner of Team Automotive Group. We operate dealerships across the Carolinas. We also have a company called Bowtie Solutions, and we operate call centers for other car dealers all across the country.
Thank you both for being here. As Jason mentioned, Vetty is a partner of ours. Background checks for military spouses can be interesting. So having a good, solid partner, and that is really important as military spouses move a lot. So there's a lot of different employment verifications going on in our community. So we appreciate the great partnership that you've been able to give us from there.
Likewise.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about trust in our last conversation, AI implementation, and today we're going to talk a little bit about closing the distance in our conversations with the customers that we serve. We have three very different perspectives here. Ours on the Instant Teams level, serving many different types of customers. Jason's on serving both the customers he's worked with and the people that he's doing the background checks for. And then Kristin from appointment setting and everything in the automotive industry. So I think you'll get a wide variety and discussion about kind of what that means. So Kristin, we'll start with you. When you hear closing the distance between brand and customer, what does that actually mean in your world?
To me, I went straight to meeting our customer right where they're at. So specifically, if we have a sales customer calling into one of our dealerships to inquire about purchasing a vehicle, if they've already done all the research, they've filled out a credit app, it's important to understand where they're at so that we don't have them repeat all those steps so that we can help streamline their time.
I'm sure that's much appreciated. I think we've all probably had a car purchasing experience that didn't go quite as well. So appreciate your attention and care on that side. Jason, what does closing the distance mean to you at Vetty?
Yeah, you know this very well, and you said there's a lot of complications when it comes to any kind of verification, background checks or anything. What we're really trying to do, and it's been a big focus over the last couple of years and certainly heading into this year, is to be the easiest to do business with. And that's both on the client side like yourself, but also we also have to look at the candidates who are coming through. Getting a background check can be very, very stressful, have a lot of anxiety. So the way we've closed that gap a lot is we keep that candidate in the loop in real time so they know exactly where they are. So they're not worried about what's going to happen. And if you look at by closing that gap, like in the example for Instant Teams, you want to know that when you're hiring them, they're going to be productive day one. So as quickly as we can do that, that's the gap we close.
Mm-hmm. What is one distance, Jason, you're seeing kind of widen this past year? And why do you think that's happening?
The biggest thing for me is the expectation gap. And we've done it to ourselves from a societal perspective. Customers expect consumer level, think like Amazon speed. But in our world, that also means you have to have compliance. And compliance and speed don't always go together. And everyone's being asked to do more with less. So the way we're overcoming that is just with brutal transparency. But really, people's expectations and their buying expectations, and more importantly, how they expect to be serviced after they buy, that expectation is gotten huge.
Yeah. How about you, Kristin? What's one distance you see kind of getting a little bit wider?
In our industry, there's a lot of shiny tools and gadgets, and where our industry is replacing humans with AI agents. And for us, it's the commitment to have human-to-human interaction. We find that, when they call other stores, they hear the robot or whatever, and when they call one of our stores, they know there's a human on the other end of the line to create that to begin the relationship.
Do you find that builds more trust, or what kind of feedback do you get from your customers because of that?
I think it's expected from them, so it's less of a frustration point when they get to us and they're like, oh, that's actually a human. When sometimes they call the other dealerships and the expectation is, or I guess the frustration is when they get the bot.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of a relief when they call us.
Yeah, I could see that, especially if they get to a human that can help solve the problem or answer the question they have or whatever it is they need a little bit of help with.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about where trust gets won or lost in our own customer journey. So Jason, where have you seen that moment, that very pivotal moment of where that trust either gets lost or is won by Vetty?
Yeah, I grew up in the kind of sales CS side of the business before, coming in as a C-level exec and then ultimately a CEO. And I think this stays true for every part of my career that I've seen. And that trust is either won or lost in the messy moments. So as I talked about earlier, those expectations have gotten higher. But when something flags or when timeline slips or a candidate is left waiting, those really, really messy moments when something's potentially yellow or green, or yellow or red, when you can get in and it's to the point we just heard, and it's a real human solving those problems, a lot of times your best customers will stay your best customer because you got them through a really hard time versus everything was rosy all the time.
Yeah. And a lot of the background checks, are the deciding factor moving forward with employment, which is a huge issue for individuals that are using your service, right? It's very time sensitive and very important. So building that trust in them, knowing that you're taking care of them and helping them get on the other side of the background check is really important. How about you, Kristin? Where do you see it get won or lost in your industry?
We feel like we win it through compassion. It's a whole different world when someone actually cares about the reason you're calling in. And I think that encourages people to want to come back or to call us again or to use us for even a different service, is because they know that Sally over there at the Salisbury store really cares about me. And she wants to make sure that we're successful in whatever repair that we're completing for her. But also having the systems to support follow-up to make sure that the car did get in, it did get serviced, it was fixed right the first time, and the customer was happy with the repair.
What is, Kristin, one like trust breaker that you've seen that seems small but actually has a pretty big impact?
Loaners seem to be a hot topic. If a customer comes in expecting a loaner, there should be a loaner.
Yeah, I can see that. I've had to get my car serviced and it's like an hour away, right? So having a loaner, if it's going to be kept for a few days, can be important.
I mentioned that more for like the dealers that we call for. Sometimes when you're that far away, like states and states away, it's not easy to look out the window and go, oh, I see four loaners there. There will be 4 loaners when you get there, Mr. Customer. So making sure the systems are aligned to report accuracy it's a really big thing.
Yeah. How about you, Jason? Where do you see some trust breakers that can look small but actually can lead to big results?
Yeah, for me, it's really just one word, and it's silence. So if you're expecting on the other end hearing things, whether that's from a human being, whether it's from an update in your feed or whatever, but when you hear silence on the other end, internally we may think, hey, we're working on it. But externally, what they're hearing is either you don't respect me enough to get back to me in a adult period timeline, or it's the stuff they're not saying, where they're looking at that saying, hey, even if they're working on it, do they really have control of it? And if they don't have control of it, why am I using that product or service?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about customer expectations again. I think it's a good topic, and it's always changing. But what has changed most recently in some of your customer expectations, and how are you adapting to that? We'll start with you, Jason.
It's especially in what we do, because we're so compliance forward, we're critical in compliance, that when you think of expectations, again, most customers still want that Amazon type approach. I want to be able to order it, have it at my house tomorrow. But they also have to be compliant. And there's not just, you want to make sure you hire the right person, but being compliant's a legal thing that could cause a lot of problems within your business. So for us, we have to play that, hey, we have some AI in the system, but you don't want it to be all AI. Legally, it can't be all AI. And then we have to flip the other side around to say, the more AI you use in your business, the more you're going to need Vetty as the other side of that coin to make sure you're doing things compliantly and legally.
Yeah. Kristin, how about you? What customer expectation has kind of changed more recently, and how are you adapting to that?
I think a little bit of what Jason said. There's more emphasis on, I need immediate action. I want to know that I can come in right now, or I want to come in tomorrow, and for us to be ready to go to serve them.
Yeah. And how are you kind of adopting your operations to either meet that expectation or redirect it in a different way?
We're able to staff based on traffic levels. So based on the time of day, we can change our schedules to reflect that, to be able to serve more people from like 9 to 11 instead of 3 to 4 in the afternoon.
Nice. So
yeah,
what are...
I want to piggyback on that because it's so true. The expectations now are people are assuming that they're going to be talking to a robot, and the more we can have humans involved in it, they need that. The one thing an AI chatbot can't do is show compassion. So what we have to do is just give people compassion, but also give them transparency. There can't be a black box. If there's not going to be a loaner car there, to your example, it's okay, but don't say there is one, and then when I get there, there's
right.
Not. Yes. And if there's not going to be one, just tell them there's not going to be one, and tell them why or when it will be.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that on the last call, because that's one thing that Instant Teams does. You know, we're that tier 2 or that escalation point. We're the people that answer the phones when you need high levels of empathy, when you need to talk to somebody that can feel compassionate about your situation. You know, your car is broken, you need some help. Like, you really want to talk to somebody that's going to have compassion, or you're trying to get this job, get your background check through. Like, you really want to speak to someone who can empathize with your situation and help, and know that somebody's kind of there working on your side, helping you, even if most of the systems are automated. And I think building that as an upgrade and keeping that in the loop is super important, as well as automating the things that we can automate. I'm sure that we've all had experiences where if I could just get on my phone and push a button and whatever I need to happen happens, we're happy in those situations too, right? But there are situations where we actually want to talk to a human and a person. And so that's where I think the balance of this AI technology and automation plus that human in the loop aspect really come into play together really nicely. So let's talk about your talent, your operating models, the foundation of how you guys have built your business. I know for Kristin, she has the appointment setting call center that she operates on top of the dealerships that she does as well. So Kristin, what's the biggest shift you've seen in how you think about staffing, the coverage, the flexibility in those teams in your call center today, and how that's changed?
We have to be able to scale very quickly. So I probably, much like you, Liza, you know, as soon as you sign a new client, there's a need for more volume pretty quickly. So we've spent a lot of our time on building the structures to be able to onboard someone quickly so that they feel confident in the training they've received. They have a mentor that's helping them. We typically have them working side by side with like another expert level call agent for about a month. But so we're able to increase our volume pretty quickly, but still have the care and training to make sure that they do a great job. We're also located strategically next to the university here in Charlotte. So we have access to a lot of people that want to work flexible schedules. They do great work, but they do want to work flexible schedules. So building schedules around classes and other jobs for some of the students I think that's been our biggest accomplishment, is figuring out how to structure that thing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because that's something that we work with our customers on, is that ability to allow us to be more creative in the workforce management side and being able to put that flexibility in there, because in the end, it really gives them better talent, better coverage, long-term outcomes. Because this industry can be very rigid, like 9 to 5, you need to be taking phone calls. You have 2 30-minute breaks and 1 30-minute lunch, and that's a tough schedule for anybody to have all day, every single day, right? So we can build in more flexibility with our workforce we can actually give better outcomes on the customer side and better jobs to the individuals who need just maybe they need to work 9 to 2 or mornings or afternoons, but they'll be the most dedicated, best, hardworking employees that you have, but they just need that little bit of variability in their scheduling. So I love that you brought that up. Jason, how do you think about talent in your organizations, the skills, the flexibility or coverage? Like, how do you guys plan and think about that?
Well, we're 100, even though we have teams all over the world, we're 100% remote. So that really helps us attract some talent. Now, what we're looking for, and I agree with what you just said, skills evolve or devolve very quickly, meaning the skills I have versus the skills I need to have. So my job is to come in and make sure the standards don't devolve. And if we have somebody we can hire with a lot of adaptability and who is trainable, then we can put them into a process. So once we have the process laid out, which the last year we've really focused on process, now it's less about the skills that they came in with or the skills that they may have never learned, because we can just now say, hey, here's a process. You may not have the skills, but you have the adaptability and the accountability. We'll teach you the rest. And that's had a really big impact on the business. Yeah,
soft skills are so important. And in the military spouse community, they are the number one drivers to the success in the workforce for sure. So people that are tech curious, people that want to learn quick, people that can adapt to things fast. Like, you can teach someone almost anything from a process, but those soft skills that people learn either through lived experiences, through personalities, different things that they've gone through in their lives, those are the things that become super valuable, especially to Kristin's point, when you're onboarding fast. You need to onboard and train and ramp up. I'm sure Vetty has ramp seasons as well, where you have to put people in through really quickly. Like, those soft skills are the things that really shine. Like, I can teach you how to hit a key on a keyboard and what to do from an SOP standpoint, but I can't teach you necessarily to want to learn, right? You either want to learn and you're a fast learner and you pick up things quickly, or you don't, so those soft skills definitely stand out in the talents section. So let's talk about what things you can automate and what things you think in your business requires that human touch. So Jason, let's start with you first.
It's a big one for me, because there's the point of being human is to be human, and the point of AI is to handle the automation. And by handling that automation, the day-to-day tasks, like you mentioned, we can be more human and have more time as humans. So for me, we're trying to automate as much as we can while still being compliant, because first of all, we're a compliance company. Yeah. And if you think about it as a broader scale, AI is going to do the 80%. The humans are going to do the 20%. So what's that 20%? Well, that 20% is going to be things that require human-to-human judgment, building trust, repairing trust as things. And AI is never going to protect your brand. Sometimes it could hurt your brand. So the humans are really there to also protect the brand, is how I look at it.
Yeah. How about you, Kristin? Where do you see that kind of breaking point?
In our operations, we refuse to put a bot in the place of a human. I just feel like it has to be human to human. But we do use AI for business intelligence, also for helping us cut through call recordings to make sure that we handle the calls appropriately. We have frustration indicators in there. We have, hey, that wasn't quite said correctly. Let's push that up to one of the trainers. And it'll allow us to, instead of listening to 20 hours of phone calls, we can listen to maybe 40 minutes of phone calls and get the ones that have training opportunities in there. I will say though that in our industry there's a lot of AI companies out there that really do want to replace employees of a dealership with a bot, and our company will back up for the human portion of that when the customer gets frustrated. So we jump in as that human counterpart when it's necessary to have someone in there other than an AI bot.
Right. Where have you seen, or where do you think in your business, like an AI bot would work well? Kristin, I'll let you answer that.
I don't. I think it needs to be human. I believe in it so strongly that we've trademarked AI as actual individuals.
That's great. Yeah. Needing the human touch is extremely important. Jason, how about you on Vetty? How do you feel about that sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to conflate two things. AI is one thing, and AI agents are another. I mean, I couldn't agree more. As much as we can have a human talking to a human while I'm in charge, I love it. But we have AI all over the business to automate what those humans used to have to spend manual time doing. So now they do have more time available to speak with candidates and customers.
Yeah, and what I've seen at Instant Teams is you have that tier 1 layer kind of starting to go away, where it's those simple tasks that don't require a lot of thought. Like, most people don't want to spend all their time doing those things. They do want to think at a higher level. They want to feel like they're contributing. They want to feel like they're doing good things and helping people. And when you're just doing like one minute task over and over, it doesn't really feel like that. So getting them, your talent, to be able to level up so that they can work on those things that are more interesting and feel like they're using their skill sets more, I think is a great place where AI and that human kind of intersect. So let's talk about a process that you may have simplified. So is there any tips you can give the audience of something that you've simplified that it has immediately improved the customer experience on your team or their performance? Jason, we'll start with you.
Yeah, when I came in, and again, it wasn't a broken process, but as we talked about earlier, expectations are changing. So when we brought on a new customer, we would have an onboarding team. So they would have talked to a salesperson earlier. Then they would talk to an onboarding person who would do, generic onboarding, make sure you're trained. Then we would hand them off to another person, ultimately to another person. So we've really flattened that to where their experience is going to be from the post-sale to the same person throughout. So that person who's going to onboard them they're going to have a team around them, but is also going to be able to answer some of those day-to-day user-led questions or issues, but then that same person is also going to be the person who's doing the QBRs with them. So it's always going to be that one relationship, and as long as you have the processes and the SOPs around that, it's been great. And our feedback from the people who went through that white glove service that we're now offering has been exceptional.
Yeah, I can see that. Having that continuity, one point of contact through the whole process makes you feel well taken care of. They haven't been like switched from the sale to the to account management. Sometimes can be a little tricky in the handoff. So I love that you flattened that on your side. Kristin, what is one thing that you have simplified that's had a big impact?
In the service drive, when people come in for their service appointments and have their vehicles repaired, we've been able to streamline that process where most of it becomes digital, so that the customer can pay however they want. It doesn't have to leave the service advisor and go to the cashier and then to the porter. It's all streamlined whereby the service advisor is able to facilitate all of those tasks, and then the vehicle is ready for them and the advisor when they walk out, and it's just a nice experience.
Yeah, that sounds great. I have to go to the cashier to check out currently. So I like that. Okay, so what's your best, we'll call it a tight loop habit? So getting your team together, getting everybody on the same page, could be a daily huddle, could be reviews. How do you guys approach that with your teams? What's your best habit that our leaders that are watching right now could kind of adopt into their business? Jason, you want to start it?
Sure. And I'll give you a couple different answers because it depends on the function. So within CX, they meet, I believe, almost daily. But it's, we don't want them to be in a vacuum. And a lot of times in businesses our size, a lot of things can become siloed. So every Monday, we do a 2-hour meeting with every key stakeholder in the business where CX then talks about, here's the new accounts for onboarding and all the sales reps are there. Then here are the ones that are, where they are in their stage of onboarding. We have red, yellow, green type customers, but everyone in the business can hear it and they understand what's happening. So the time and speed of action is really fast because the people are already read in and they don't have to have another 30-minute meeting to be able to come back to do it.
Right. I love that. What does an agenda for that look like?
It starts out with our sales leader saying, hey, in the next 2 weeks, we think these 5 accounts are going to close, right? And here's their stages. So he does his part. and we're changing it slightly. Then we have our go-to-market ops is going to come in and be kind of the air traffic control of that meeting. So he's going to be directing it. And then our woman who runs CX, she's going to come in and say, hey, here's the accounts. You get about an hour of updates from the people who are onboarding the accounts and where they are. Again, no questions. Is integration needed? You can ask any question you want. And then the rest of it is just current client health. So like Instant Team comes up in there. So we could say, hey, how are we doing? Do they have any things happening in their business? Are they acquiring another business? Is it going to be a slow month for them, a busy month for them? Do we need to resource differently for either of those things for them?
Yeah, nice. Because we do have busy months at Instant Teams.
You do, yeah.
Very much so. Kristin, how about you from your leadership? Like, how do you keep kind of everybody together and in sync?
Our organization runs on EOS, so we have shared visions, shared goals. A lot of it focuses around weekly to-dos, quarterly rocks, and then 1 year, 3 year, 10-year plans. And the whole company's read in on all of that, so they know what we're chasing together as a team. We meet weekly between department groups, and then information flows up and down the levels of the company. So any of the front level teams can push information up to leadership, and mid-tier leadership can push stuff down to the front lines. So information is able to travel very easily under that structure, and it also allows for accountability and, again, shared vision.
Yeah, which is extremely important. And one thing that I've been personally working on at Instant Teams is getting that transparency, communication flow, making sure everybody, I love, Jason, how you had everybody on that same meeting, even though it's a long meeting. I'm sure a lot of great information is shared there that requires less meetings in the future during the week when everybody's kind of on the same page and communicating and knows where everybody is in each of those stages. Really important. So great takeaways from both of you on that. So now we're going to do a quick lightning round. Kristin, in one sentence, what should CX leaders stop doing this year?
Stop complicating things with shiny widgets. Just be really, really, really good at your process.
Yes, we have a tendency to probably inflate things a little bit as leaders sometimes and make them a little more complicated than they need to be. So great advice. Jason, what's one thing a CX leader should stop doing this year?
Yeah, stop relying on the heroes in your business. What I mean by heroes are, your best employees will do anything you ask and they have really high skills. Stop relying on them to fix the broken systems. Just put better systems in, and then everybody can be a hero as long as they're following those systems. If not, it's just not scalable.
Love that. All right, Jason, in one sentence, what should they double down on now?
Operational trust. And that's why we have that Monday meeting. Anybody, as I said, can ask anything. Just be as brutally transparent as you can be. We do a monthly all hands with the entire company, and there's a whole lot of transparency in that meeting. And I encourage my teams to do that within their meetings as well, and their teams.
Love that. Transparency is important and helps build trust within your own teams. All right, Kristin, what should they double down on? Human to human interaction. I like that. This is like a commercial for Instant Teams. Yeah, you need more humans in the loop. Call us. That's what we do. So thank you, Kristin. Thank you, Jason, for being here with us. Really appreciate the conversation. It's great to see your businesses thrive under your great leadership, and it's amazing to have you as a partner, Jason, on the Vetty side. As you know, background checks are an integral part of our business and what we do for our customers. So, and Kristin, I'm gonna come buy a car from you so that I can pay on my app here and not have to worry about the hassle of, and I can talk to somebody. I can talk to a human anytime I want to talk to a human. So appreciate you both. I hope you have a great, wonderful rest of the day. And thanks for joining us, Instant Teams, at our CX Virtual Summit.
Thank you.
See you later.